Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Quast. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Swift Transportation. Today is Friday, April 10th, 2020, and we're hoping today just to give you another brief update on COVID-19 and things that are happening at Swift and things that we're working on. Joining me today is Jim Fitzsimmons. Jim.
Thanks, Kevin. Hi, Jim Fitzsimmons, Executive Vice President of Operations. Thanks for listening to us once again. We're, just doing these videos to try to keep everyone informed of what's going on within the company and a little bit about what's going on outside the company. One thing I wanted to hit on was in the next few days, probably early next week, one of our drivers is a retired physician. And so a lot of people know him. He's been around for 5 years, goes by Doc. Dr. Johnny Roach is his name. But we've asked him to do a video and just talk to everyone because he's got a different perspective than the rest of us, because the fact that he is a retired physician and then also a driver. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that video. And so I definitely encourage you to look for that when that comes out. But here's what I tell you when it comes to listening to him is he knows what he's talking about. He's done your job as a driver and he's been a doctor. And so I had a very good conversation with him last week, and he agreed to come to Phoenix today and shot the video. So excited to get that out there. Let me hit on a few more of the areas, and I'll turn it back to Kevin. In regards to provisions, what we have at the terminals for the most part is already there when it comes to water or food type products. Now again, when we first did that, we were just trying to get stuff to the terminals to get it in your hands, knowing that you couldn't just walk into a store in many cases and buy water or even just basic food products. The good thing is now any store you go to, you can find water, you can find food. What you struggle to find is toilet paper and sanitation type products like the hand sanitizer and the wipes. And so the toilet paper, we're now getting that ordered. Some terminals have it. I know we have a large supply in Phoenix and Atlanta, and we've been spreading that around. I can't tell you exactly what terminals have it, which terminals don't, because that stuff's coming in basically daily. The gloves, all terminals have gloves. Gloves and masks, you could get those from the shop. And so this week we received 5,000 masks in Phoenix and 5,000 masks in Memphis. The Memphis ones just got delivered yesterday, Thursday, and so those were sent out yesterday. So all the Central and East terminals should have those by today. Today's the 10th, maybe tomorrow at the latest. But if you need gloves or masks, just go into any shop facility and ask for those. We're asking that we limit the masks to 1 per driver until we get the next shipment that comes in. The next shipment's 50,000, so we've got a lot more on order. But again, it's really hard to get this stuff because of the medical community having kind of the first right to any of these manufacturers. And that's where we struggle with hand sanitizer. So we're now about a week and a half past what we thought we were going to have the hand sanitizer, but we're assured that we still have our spot in production. With any luck, that'll get shipped out over the weekend, and we'll have plenty of hand sanitizer in all the buildings by next week. I know we do have hand sanitizer in Rupa Valley, Fontana, Phoenix, Lathrop, and we should have it in Otay Mesa by the end of today. Detroit also has some available. And keep in mind, if they don't have the small bottles for you, I just take an empty water bottle and just fill up a water bottle half full out of one of the big machines that we got in the building. It's been easier to buy the big bladders of hand sanitizer to do the refills than it has been to get the small bottles. Kevin, turn it back over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jim. I want to shift gears and change to a different topic. We've had quite a bit of interesting questions about bonus programs from drivers who are participating in those in some of our lines of business. And I wanted to just touch base on that. Our bonus programs throughout the company, regardless of which job we're in, whether we're driving a truck, whether we're working in an office or other parts of the business, bonus programs are designed so that when the company is doing well and the company is making more money, that we all make more money. And when the company is not doing as well, then we don't make as much money through the bonus programs, and that holds true to our driver bonuses and through all of our bonuses. So we're all feeling the pinch of that right now. I'm going to feel the pinch of that a little bit right now, and gosh, I hope for those who are part of a bonus plan that kind of makes sense to you, and I think it feels like to me that that's just the right way to approach bonus programs, that when the company does well, we do well, and vice versa. And hey, the good news, like we've talked about in previous videos, is that we're all fortunate to work for a company that's very financially sound, and that we have stability in our base income, and then the ability to grow from that and to do better when the company's doing well. So I hope that's meaningful to everybody. And I know hey, I know it's a little painful in the short term, but just know that we're all in this together. We're all affected by it, and hey, we as we continue to review bonus programs throughout the company and all types of jobs, including our driving jobs, I know these are the kind of factors that we consider and try to be fair about and to work through. So that's kind of how we look at the bonus programs, and we'll continue to monitor that very closely. We've also had some questions about hiring of new drivers, and we do have an ongoing effort to hire new drivers, and it is still ongoing today. You know, to recruit drivers, it takes a lot of momentum, and so it's not something you can just turn off one day and turn back on the next day. And we're optimistic that this thing will continue to work through, and then when it comes back, that we believe that freight's going to be stronger, and there will be lots of opportunities for us in the in the market, in the freight market. And so because of that, and because as we're trying to look ahead and not just look at today, it's I kind of liken it to, when you're driving and heading down a highway and you're going down a hill, and then there's an uphill run coming. You stay within the speed limit, but you might get a little momentum on the downhill side to help carry up the hill a little bit. Well, we're kind of looking at it the same way here from a driver hiring perspective, and at the same time, we're being very deliberate about how we're doing that, particularly in the number of students that we're bringing in, and trying to be very careful. But hey, it's an ongoing effort, but it's very much a controlled effort, and we continue to focus on that and try to balance that every single day. So I hope that both of those topics or those explanations make sense, and we can address more questions later if there are further questions. Jim, with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, next thing I wanted to hit on was freight levels. And so obviously the last couple of weeks, we've really seen the freight, die off. And so if you go back about the first to second week of March, the freight started going through the roof. And that was where you had everyone doing all the panic buying and going to the stores, emptying out the shelves. And every one of our customers that ships any kind of, food or CPG, consumer product goods, all that stuff was flying off the shelves, and you saw a huge spike in freight, because at that point you still had all your retail and automotive freight was still moving. And then what happened is, as you got into the end of March, you had states shutting down, and then it quickly started going, the tail end of March going into the 1st of April, where basically everything stopped. And so all your retail, all your auto has stopped. All the freight, coming in and out of Mexico for the most part, other than essential goods, has stopped. And so you kind of had a cross at one point where you had the food CPG shooting up, and then you had the retail auto coming down. And so we're kind of estimating, it's hard to know right now because this is like uncharted waters for anyone, but there are imports coming across. And so we think the import business will pick up as the ships come in from, China and other parts of the world. We'll see a slight pickup there. But really what has to happen is the U.S. has to get back to work. People got to get shopping again before we really see, our freight volumes turn back to what we consider more normal. And so the good thing is, at least right now, the food shippers are busier than normal. And so it could be a lot worse. There's a lot of trucking carriers that have virtually no freight. If you're, specifically tied to retail and automotive, those shippers have no freight at all. And so just hang in there. I know it's a little tough time right now, and especially from what we saw 2 weeks ago, but we feel that freight will be coming, and then it'll continue to get better. The end of April will get better in May, and then by June, everything should be really back full speed ahead with a lot of freight. I will tell you that our sales team is very aggressively going out and finding new freight, and I see examples of it every single day. What I would ask there is service is key. It's almost impossible for you could have the best salesperson in the world if they go into a customer and they're trying to get new freight, and we had 3 service failures, the prior week. It's just not going to happen. So everything you could do to service every load, pick up and deliver on time is key right now in a time like now where everyone's fighting for freight. It's that one thing that makes Swift a little bit different, a little bit better for a salesperson to go in and get a deal closed. Kevin?
Thank you, Jim. If I could maybe add just a couple of points about the freight picture. I think there's 2 other things that we may consider. The produce season should be kicking in relatively soon, and when produce kicks in, that pulls a lot of trucks into that market. Which means, and you might be thinking, hey, I'm in dry van, it doesn't affect me, but in reality, when markets are soft, then the trucks that are normally hauling reefer are jumping into the dry van side too. So when produce picks up, the reefer trucks go back to reefer and pull that, and are hauling in that market, and then that provides more opportunities for freight into the dry van and other types of trucks. So we think that will help. The other thing is with the, if all the stores that are closed right now were to open up on Monday, hypothetically, well, we'll see, a pickup in store deliveries and those kind of things, but these supply chains are very bogged down right now. So just realize that when this thing starts to loosen up, whenever that happens, that there is going to be a little bit of a flywheel effect, meaning it's going to take a little bit of time to get this flywheel really cranking. And we think that once it does, it's going to go, but it's going to take a little bit to do that. So, one last topic that I wanted to touch base on, one of the things that we manage, and you all have seen this in our driving force, that we focus on improving our miles per gallon of our trucks. And there are several components to that we measure. We measure out of route miles, so meaning a deviation from the normal route for a load. We measure idle and manage idle, and then we measure and manage cruise control usage. So, in the environment that we're in today, we want us all to still stay focused on an out of route. We need to make sure that we're staying disciplined on those kind of things. Cruise control usage, we encourage you to use your cruise control when conditions permit. In bad weather, high traffic, although there isn't as much of that today, but bad weather, those kind of things, where it doesn't make sense to use cruise control, then please don't. But encourage you to use it where it makes sense. Just a comment on idle. We focus on idle, we work on idle, but we also know that right now that you can't go into a truck stop. You can go in to get food, you can't sit around in there. You can't go sit around and play in lounges and those kind of things. And so we're still looking at idle, but we are being much more understanding, and we realize that, hey, you're going to have to idle that truck more right now as you're dealing with the environment that you're in out there in the world. And so, hey, just do the very best that you can. And hey, we know that, hey, sometimes the temperatures will be good. It'll be nice able to have the windows down. It won't need to idle, but hey, we know there'll be times when you'll need to, because you're going to be stuck in that truck. And hey, and we want that to be as comfortable as possible. I can't imagine how unpleasant it must be to be stuck for that long in a truck, but we will recognize that you're going to need to idle a little bit. So, a little bit more. And so we recognize that.
Hey, also one more thing I wanted to mention is that starting next week for company drivers, the layover pay is going to go from $50 to $75. So I'm not sure of the exact date. It'll basically be whatever the new payroll date starts next week, but effective next week, all layovers for company drivers will be going to $75. Thanks.
Let me just conclude again by telling you how much we appreciate you. We're going to continue these updates. We are working very hard to help keep our trucks moving. In my 25 almost years career in this industry, I've never seen a stronger effort than I'm seeing right now in our companies, in all brands, frankly, but in our companies, of finding loads, in mining loads, and making sure that we have loads on our trucks, and that we are going to make sure that our trucks are moving and that our drivers are earning their paychecks. And so focus on service. Appreciate Jim talking about that. Stay safe. And from a standpoint of operating the vehicle, stay safe from a health perspective. And and make sure you stay in touch with your family. We all have families who are at home, and kids are at home and stuck at home, and hey, it's, there's a social aspect to that, and there's a psychological aspect to that, and stay connected socially, and as we're maintaining the physical distance that is necessary. And we appreciate all of you, and keep up the good work, and we'll try to keep you updated. Thanks so much.